The rabbis teach that King David would wake at midnight to study Torah. Somehow, from the heart of the ancient world, before the invention of clocks, King David somehow could intuit the precise strike of 12. The rabbis of the Talmud are confounded. How is this possible? They go on for pages and pages and pages. They try to solve the puzzle with clues from Torah, but their search only yields more questions. How could King David possibly know how to rise at exactly midnight? Not even Moses knew when the middle of the night was. As it says this week in Parshat Bo, Moses prepares to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Kechatzot halayla, at about midnight. True midnight remains a mystery, shrouded in the dark of night. Nighttime means different things at different stages of our lives. I am sure that many of us remember a time, most likely in our past, though I can't vouch for everyone here, when nighttime was party time. Perhaps it was our late teens or early 20s. Night was time for silly fun and few responsibilities. The early morning was for sleeping. Afternoons then to reminisce and get ready to do it all again. But it isn't always this way. For young children, the night is a vast unknown. Night is a time for children to sleep, a time for whispered conversations between grown-ups. For children, midnight is impossibly late and absurdly dark. I offer my deepest thanks to Netflix, who enabled my children to watch the ball drop on New Year's Eve at 7:30 p.m. Children have no business being awake at midnight, except when, of course, that one is. As a parent, night becomes something else entirely. Night becomes an extension of our daily tasks and worries. Since becoming a mother nearly 7 years ago now, I do get some sleep. Hi. Yet I am always on the edge of wakefulness. I sleep, though ready to jump at the wail of a bad dream or a whimper for a drink of water. The rabbis didn't need to go on for pages and pages. They could have asked any parent. We know exactly when midnight is. It is the precise moment that we finally fall into a full slumber, only to wake with a start at the sound of a cry or a snore or an incoherent, sleepy mumble. Key moments of the Exodus story are told in the dark. Parshat Bo recalls the 10th plague, the death of the firstborn. In the middle of the night, it says, Adonai struck down all of the male firstborn of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh arose in the night with all of his courtiers and all the Egyptians, because there was a loud cry in Egypt, for there was no house where there was not someone dead. He summoned Moses and Aaron in the night and said, Up, depart from among my people, you and the Israelites with you. And before Pharaoh has a chance to change his mind once more, the Israelites throw the unleavened dough over their shoulders and flee the scene of their oppression. And it is written, This was for Adonai a night of vigil to bring them out of the land of Egypt. This final devastating plague enacts Pharaoh's worst nightmare, the nightmare which also serves as a necessary catalyst to make the Israelite dream of redemption come true. And as the clock strikes 12, God becomes the watchful parent, the first night of many that God will spend awake, worrying about the children. Like a father who straightens a twisted duvet cover, God parts the sea. Like a mother who rushes in with a cup of water, God provides manna to soothe their hungry souls. In the middle of the night, as the Israelites set out for their long journey through the wilderness, God assumes the role of protector, provider, and ever-vigilant guardian. So, what keeps you up at night? It's a favorite question heard in community organizing circles. intended to help participants dig deep into conversation as they search for shared areas of concern. The strategy builds out from the idea that we all have something that makes us restless, something that agitates us when we begin to feel complacent. We all have something that, if circumstances allow, will creep in uninvited as we try to still our minds for sleep. The Israelites stay awake, enacting their plan to escape Egyptian oppression. King David woke, supposedly called to Torah, but we could also intuit that the stress of political pressure or perhaps a guilty conscience made it difficult for him to sleep. And the study of text was for him a welcome distraction. We all have nights where we toss and turn. Perhaps it's the stressors in our personal lives that keep us up, worries about money or health or work. Perhaps we lie awake making plans for the future or replaying moments from our past. Perhaps it is the division in our communal life that makes it difficult to rest. Concerns over public safety, immigration, or Israel. We think about the issues that loom large in our world, like genocide, the welfare of refugee children, poverty at home and abroad. We rehash the micro moments of our lives as well, unfinished conversations and mundane tasks left undone. There is certainly no lack of things to worry about. So how did King David know to rise exactly at midnight? The rabbis continue. They posit that perhaps a harp hung above his bed, and at midnight the north wind would come and strum the instrument, causing it to play all on its own, like a divine alarm clock. And upon hearing the music, David would rise from his slumber. It's not that David knew more than Moses, but that for King David, holy intervention took on a different shape. God addressed David's fears through the music that led him to study. For the Israelites, God brought them out of Egypt with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. Our worries crowd our minds under the cover of night. Once we are grown, who stays at the very edges of sleep listening for our cries? Where is our magic harp? Whose hand will part the seas of our oppression? Our liturgy reminds us that light rolls into darkness, and darkness too rolls into light. And as we lie awake, this is not a prayer, but a protest. It is bold and brave to release our worries from the dark of night and examine them by the light of day. Last week, Rabbi Kahn made a resolution to address the challenges of our world by the warm glow of this holy space. Our tradition gives us a foundation of story and law. Our tradition gives us the gift of machloket, the art of respectful, passionate disagreement. Our tradition teaches us how to stand for the stranger and care for each other, both in our moments of personal need and communal conflict. And as the darkness rolls into light, our differences look smaller. In community, our worries are surmountable. By day, it is bright enough to see that we are not alone. And here, perhaps, we find that holy intervention has taken its own perfect shape for us too. God doesn't act for us through a wind-strummed harp or a parting sea. But in the light, we can see the others who share the weight of our worries, the others who can help us round the corners of our fear. We look around for those whose under-eye circles resemble our own and tentatively ask, what keeps you up at night? As Torah guides us to these conversations, we take the first steps into our light, bright freedom, leaving our darkest worries at the shores of the sea. Shabbat Shalom.